Howdy there guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today I'm going to make a bit of an insight video again here for you. One that's been requested quite a lot actually, regarding the prize money on the PDC. What is it like for a player? Now obviously I'm purely speaking from the perspective of where I was in the rankings, which is around the mid sort of ranked position, 128 tour card holders, and I was quite often sat around about the 64 position, sort of 64 to 55, so a good sort of mid-ranked player, and sort of a good insight into how far down the money comes and what sort of position you need to be to make this a viable full-time career. The year I'm going to pick is actually quite an interesting one because it's one that came with quite relevant sort of success. When we take a look at what happened that year, I reached the fifth round of the UK Open, losing out to Dimitri Vandenberg. That was £4,000. I had a fairly decent year throughout the Players' Championship campaigns, picking up £14,250, which did get me again in the top 64 of that 1 year rolling order of merit, which did earn me a place at the Players' Championship finals down in Minehead, where I did lose out in the first round to Dave Chisnell. I also made the World Championship that year. We know the story, what happened there. I lost to Darius Labanauskas, one of my two defeats to Darius Labanauskas, £7,550 for that one. And I also made 3 European Tour events where it was £1,000 for the first round and lost them all. What a numpty. £3,000 in prize money for those European Tour events. So a total prize money haul throughout that year, £31,250. Now, it's key to remember that with this video, I'm purely talking black and white. I am talking prize money only, not all the other ways in which dart players make money, such as exhibition sponsorships, endorsements, any other thing that comes along with that. I do have a video on that. I will pop it on the end screen for you, and I'll put it down in the description below so it's nice and easy for you to find if you're interested in seeing the other ways in which professional dart players make money on top of the prize money. So what comes off of that prize money? So we know what the income is, and like I say, it's black and white. It's just purely prize money against expenses, this. And when you are a professional dart player, you are not an employee, you are a self-employed person. So there are other business expenses you can take off. So this number's not an exact, it's just a real good guide into some of the things you may not even think about when you're thinking about how much the expenses are. The first thing is the essentials. You have to be a PDPA member to be able to play on the PDC. That is £500 membership that you pay in January to give you that association. Now, if you are a tour card holder, you pay the £500. If not, you pay the £500, and that's essentially your entry to Q School. So, or I think it's £400 to Q School, and if you qualify, you pay the £100 top up. So your Q School entry fee is your PDPA membership for the year. So don't think you've got to put anything on top, so to speak. Or what if you go to Q School? No, it's all included in that £500 PDPA membership. On top of that, you need to pay £50 to the DRA, the Darts Regulation Authority, which basically gives them the right to fine you if you're a naughty boy. 50 quid for the privilege of that one. The other fee to remember is the PDPA levy. Now, this is a 2% levy that comes off of all prize money before you even receive it. So the year we're talking about here, where I had over £31,000 in prize money, a PDPA levy would be £625 deducted before I got that money. Now, that's just those essentials. There are other essentials you need as well. Now, you can no longer have standard car insurance. You are now classed as a professional sportsman, which means you need sportsman's cover. So there's either proper professional sportsman cover you can go get, or you can get it through your existing premium, but it will be a premium. You're looking at about £400 on top of your existing car insurance now, because you're classed as a professional sportsman. Not only that, but you need travel insurance for the loss of luggage or for ill health. You can get this for a yearly basis for around about £100. So £500 needed in terms of essential professional cover for the journeys that you're going to be going and doing. Now, when you go on these journeys, you're not going to sleep in your car. You need to get hotels. Now, I work out roughly you need about £50 a night on average for a hotel. You don't need out too flashy. £50 a night, you should be able to get somewhere in most places. Sometimes a bit cheaper, sometimes a bit more expensive, but we'll average it out at £50 a night. Now, when I've looked at hotels for the year in question, 12 nights needed on European tours, although I only made 3, You don't go out there just for one night. You need to go a day early, and then you've got the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday. Now, I always used to book my flight back on the Sunday because I used to think, well, if I get to the quarterfinals and I miss my flight, I really don't care. I'll happily miss my flight to be in the quarterfinals. So 12 nights needed for that. 6 nights needed for the majors, the UK Open, the Players' Championship, and the World Championship, and then 43 nights needed for the Pro Tours. At my average workout of £50 per night, that is £3,050. Now, there are ways in which I could bring this total down, and I did manage to do that. What I used to use was a system on Topcashback. If you are going to use this, use my referral code. I'll put it down in the description because it gives me about 20 quid if you do that. So please use that. Now, what I used to do is I used to go on Topcashback, and I used to book my hotels through Topcashback, which at the moment you can get like 10% if you book them in advance. And I used to let that build up through the year and take it out at the end of the year as a little Christmas bonus. The other thing I used to use is hotels.com. Now, the reason I used to use this is because after you book 10 nights, you get a free night. So by combining those two things together, I'd get cash back, so I get money back into my bank account. As you can see, I've got over £1,000 over the years back from my expenses, but also after 10 nights you get a free one to the average cost of what you're doing. So a little tip there for you if you're thinking about getting out there on the tour. One thing you can't do though is the travel, the petrol costs, the bits that come with that. Now, I worked out that I took about 20 trips, averaged out about £40 a trip, £800 added to the list of expenses, and you can see how it's already really starting to build up. Flights. This is a tricky one to price up. Without going through all my receipts and giving you the exact numbers, I've worked out about £200. Now, sometimes it can be a lot more, because not only do we have to book the flight, we can't just book a cheap airline and carry a bag on, because the darts are not allowed to go in the hand luggage. So we always have to book a suitcase in for the cabin. And with some airlines, we're looking 30-40 quid both ways. So it's like another 60 quid on top of your seat for the plane, based on the fact that we need to take those darts in there. I believe the Swiss Point now system is sort of helping this out a little bit, but I don't think anyone's taking the risk yet to just slot those darts in the hand luggage. So extra expenses on top of the flight. So even if you're booking in advance, you're still not going to get a cheap one, because you need to take those darts in a bag in the cabin. Can sort of just make things a bit trickier. Overnight budget. I was wary about putting this one in. The overnight budget is basically what people associate in terms of, because we're self-employed or businesses, so to speak, an overnight budget for when you stay away and you're in a hotel and you don't have the facilities to cook your food, you've got to go out for a meal or take away or whatever it's going to be. I budget this at about £20 per overnight stay. Now, some people like to include this, some people don't. I'm one that's very on the fence with this, because I always think, well, I've got to eat wherever I am, so I'm always going to have that expense. But I suppose the expense is heightened when you're out, and then obviously you make it a bit of a social activity as well. Otherwise, you're just sitting in your hotel room by yourself all the time. I worked out that I spent 61 nights out in this year, so it'd be £1,220 down as our overnight budget, and that goes on top of our continuing growing list of expenses. Final one here I put down as miscellaneous. Now, miscellaneous hits a couple of categories. This is things such as accountancy fees, transports. So we've got things like when you land in another country, you need a taxi to take you to the venue, or a taxi to take you to the hotel. You might need a train. Airport parking, that's ramping up more and more as we speak. And also non-UK card transactions or exchange rates. It's things that just eat into your budget, because if I don't take euros when I go away and I pay with my card, every time I pay with my card, my bank's going to charge me a transaction fee. So that needs to be accounted as well. I've worked this out to be about £1,000. So when we put all these together and we've got our big list of expenses, I've worked out roughly £8,745 worth of expenses, which when it comes off of our prize money leaves us with just £22,500. So That would be our now taxable figure. Now, like I said, as a business, you can bring this down even more. There's other deductions you can have, such as any equipment that you might need, because that's something I've not included here as a sponsored player. I don't pay for my darts, my flights, and my equipment, and my dartboards and things. They're provided for me. However, some people don't, so they've got to buy those dartboards or flights or darts or equipment, shirts, all those different types of things. So that would again bring down that total, but also it'd bring down the taxable figure. So that's why I said at the start of this video that it's a little bit of a black and white video, just a layman's term sort of sense. So if we run through that total, the £22,000, and we put that in to a tax calculator, we can see that the national insurance would be £1,120.20, tax would be £1,985.20, £3,177.40 in total, which, when that comes off, leaves us with over £19,000. Now, again, I just want to chuck this out there and get this very, very clear that that would probably be less, because, like I said, there are lots of business expenses that you can take off on top of the things that the tax wouldn't be as high as it is. So that would be another, but also we've got to remember that there are other forms of income that professional dart players use. Again, I will pop that video on the end screen and down in the description for you if you want to go find out all those other ways in which players earn. But hopefully these videos give you a little bit of an insight into some of the potential costs and things which you will see. For some players, this will be a lot more. People like Kim Hybrex, for example, who has to travel from Belgium over to the UK on a lot more basis, his flights are going to be higher. Then when he lands in the UK, his costs are going to be higher on that sense. That's why a lot of people go for management deals now. With the management deals, what you'll tend to find is all these costs get absorbed. All the airports, the taxis, hotels, transport to and from the venue, everything to get you there to play darts gets absorbed by the manager, but then they take a fee of the prize money. So they might take 20%, some people up to 50% of the prize money they give away as part of these sponsorship deals. So someone might earn £32,000, give away 16, but they don't have to worry about all the working out and the costs and everything along the way, and they don't have that risk either. Whereas as they go higher up the rankings, those percentages do become a lot less. If you do have any questions about this topic, do drop them in the comment section down below. I will be down there regular, answering as many of your questions as I can. Please do pop a like on this video on your way down, and subscribe if you are new for lots of darting insight and content, your one-stop location for all darting news and information. I'll catch you soon for some more Edgar TV. Edgar TV.